Welcome aboard the 4 to 7 pod with the Ascension Podcast Network. I am Chris, joined as always by Jerry. We have a special little side episode for you here tonight. We're doing a 30 years of the wild card celebration. The Major League Baseball introduced the wild card teams to the playoff format in 1995. So we figured it would be a good idea to kind of take a trip back from 1995 to the present to see what the best playoff series have been every year since they introduced the wild card. This was mostly Jerry's idea, but we basically we decided that we would split it up since Jerry is slightly older than I am and has watched baseball slightly longer than I have. He's going to do the first 15 years and then from 1995 to 2009, and then I'll bring it home from 2010 to 2024. Can't really do this year yet because that is still ongoing, although I would say if we were to crown one now, it would have to be the Mariners Tigers ALDS.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty good. So Jerry,
I feel like doing historical and statistical stuff is one of the few things that I can claim to actually say Unk still got it. So this is right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, this is we'll see exactly how many miles you've lost off your fastball. You've actually may have even gained miles on your fastball with this one. But how are you doing? And I'll let you do your thing.
Well, first off, I just want to start by saying, boy, with the PCA for MVP crowd that were so loud for 3 months. I mean, I don't need hearing aids yet. I'm not that old. I haven't heard them, not in a while. And funny that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember a lot. I remember a fucking lot.
It's been a tough look. It's been a tough look for PCA. I'm sure a lot of those people that were, saying that were probably also like Mets fans trying to be like, told you so.
Oh, for doomers.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you can't have everything this year. So.
Yeah. So you can't have everything. So we'll give you, so that they'll give you nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But yeah, so the wild card was introduced in 1994 during the work stoppage. And then, much like this past work stoppage, they introduced more wild card teams. And, now we're probably going to be looking at possibly even more wild card teams in the next work stoppage, or perhaps even also some realignment. So yeah, it's a good opportunity to go back to the roots of it.
We may have to share this on the 4 to 7 Instagram page, but I was reminded of this last night. I forget what show it was, but John Smoltz was on a pod recently, and they had asked him about expansion, and he said, "You know what? If you're going to do this, then go full bore here." He said the best thing you could do is have 4 8-team divisions. So I mean, like 2 for each.
Yeah.
So, and you can even change the playoff format. You can have it be first half champion versus second half champion, and you can have a wild card in there, for the team that had the best record, the best combined record, but didn't win either half. And it even explained, like, well, what incentive does the first half team have if they don't? If they've already won the first half, then what do they have to go for the second? It's like, well, you can get a bye. And it's like, okay. And he goes, basically, it's so that no team has any excuse to punt on a season. Because he said, like, basically the Braves would have been a good example this year where, yeah, they had all these injuries in the first half and they were way out of it, but they were actually like pretty decent.
Pretty good team.
So it's like, if you get to the All-Star break and it's okay, everything resets where everybody's at 0-0 again. And I got to say, him laying it out, like,
interesting. Yeah, because I know minor league does that.
But, like, that's not the worst thing I've heard. I'd be open to that.
Yeah, it's a little far-fetched and definitely a little radical, but Man, I mean, that would be something if you did a first half winner and a second half winner. Then like it would make the Yankees fucking off every June and July more justified.
Well, the same would be for the Mets.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea of like, hey, look, if you're going to add 2 more teams and you're going to expand the leagues, like, hey, you might as well mark this as like, because baseball hasn't had, I mean, not counting the Nationals, which was just a move, but baseball hasn't had an expansion in a quarter century. So, like, you could really mark this as a spot in your sports history of, okay,
Where
well,
you
we're switching to 2 8-team divisions per league, and this is the format we're going with, and we're going to introduce this and this and this, and from this point onward, when these 2 teams come in, this is how things are going to be. And you know what? Like,
you know what?
it
While
would be,
you're at
the
it,
same for everybody. So I don't think that's crazy.
you know what? While you're at it, make the World Series 9 games.
Well, I don't know about that. But yeah, it's one of those things that, like, everything he listed initially, I don't know if I'm on board with all of it, but I feel like if you could tweak some things, like, all right, that might work in practice. Because, I mean, I can remember growing up as a kid before the wild card started. People hated this. They're just like, man, like you're cheapening the postseason. Like, we just had this great pennant race between the Braves and Giants, and that doesn't exist anymore now. And that it's going to make the stuff less meaningless. And as we've seen over the past 30 years, and I say this even as someone who wasn't crazy about adding the 2 wild cards recently, we've still gotten great September moments over the past 30 years. I mean, some of the best baseball moments of my lifetime have been in September because of the importance of having the wild card, of being that escape ladder. Or teams have had collapses because, like we mentioned a couple weeks ago, in 2007, the Mets lost. They faded down the stretch, and Colorado went on that incredible tear in 2007. If the wild card didn't exist, they just would have had a long winning streak to end the regular season. That would have been it. So
yeah,
this has allowed a lot of great things to happen. And what you're going to see over the course of this is, when we say the best series for each year, sometimes it's the division series. Sometimes it's the LCS. It's not always the World Series, but you're going to see a few division series on here, and you're going to be like, well, yeah, if we hadn't made that change, that wouldn't have happened, or we wouldn't have had this all-time moment, or we wouldn't have had this happen, or this happen. And so it's fun to be able to look back and go, hey, yeah, sometimes change does lead to great things. And it's just fun to be able to look at and see, like, all this thing that nobody really was all that sure about initially. Like, yeah, this actually, I think, has been a net positive on the whole.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely been great for the sport. And I know that, I'm sure that just like back then, like I'm sure just like how it was now, I'm sure there were baseball purists at the time that were pushing back on the wild card, probably despised it, But I think like everything that happens, like, sometimes change is necessary. And I feel like with change, like, you get used to it. Like I remember thinking, man, I really just hated the idea of an ABS system. I was like, man, like I don't like it. Like I feel like there has to be some human element as far as the umpiring, the strike zones, the different strike zones, framing, this, that, yada, yada, yada. But then like you see it in practice, like when we went to that spring training game, it's like, oh, this takes 5 seconds and it gets the call right. Like, so yeah, sometimes change is necessary. This is definitely a change for the better because of, everything it allowed, everything that allowed to happen in front of our eyes, as kids into our adult life. So let's begin. We start in the 1995 American League Division Series.
Well, we'll start with one that we were discussing on Friday night. If you saw our most recent show, when we were talking about the marathon that was going on with the Mariners, and this was a perfect example of why the expanded postseason ends up being a good thing. Because if this series never happens, actually, I should stand. The Mariners did win the AL West that year, so there's that. But the fact that the Yankees got in as a wild card, because the Mariners had never
That's
been
right.
in the
We
playoffs.
did have to play that game 5 on the road.
Yeah, and much like they did when they had the wild card game in 2012, this was the one time that they did So in this case, the Yankees got the first two, and then Seattle got the last three instead of the 2-2-1 that we know now. But the fact that
Oh,
the
so they
Mariners,
had it the first. So back then,
it was
the home.
2-3
Oh,
essentially.
okay. So the home field advantage was just having those. I like it better the way they do it now. But I mean,
Actually, now
this.
that I think about it, I think they might have done the 2-3 for a little bit because when I was doing research for this, I was looking at the Yankees Cleveland series in '97, and that was the same. Where
That was a 2-3 as well.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. It probably made more. It definitely made more sense logistically, like only having to make one trip. But I think in the name of fairness, I think that the 2-2-1 format is superior in the name of fairness because it's like, is it really home field advantage if you have to, you know, go on the road and you're down 2-0 and you come back home? Like, what good does that home field advantage really do you? Well, for the
Right.
Mariners, it did them wonders.
Well, and not only that, it's we talked the other night about how the Edgar Martinez double with Griffey sliding in is the moment, but this was actually a tremendous series. All things being told here, so like the Mariners literally got in, so they win that. Well, it would have been game 145 that year, but they win that one game playoff to beat the Angels.
Yeah, it
They
was
get
the 1995 equivalent of a game 163 because
right.
I guess it was a little shortened due to the labor dispute.
Because they started in late April, I believe, that year.
Yeah.
So the Mariners get into New York like at 5 a.m. the day of game one, have the lead, but then the Yankees score 4 in the 7th to take game one. Game two is a legendary one because, and Ken Griffey had the record for a long time for most home runs. I believe tied Reggie Jackson's record for most home runs in a single postseason series. And this was tied from the 7th through the 12th. The Mariners take the lead in the 12th on a Griffey home run. The Yankees tie it on a double where Jorge Posada made his MLB debut as a pinch runner. He scores the tying run, and then the winning run gets thrown out at the plate. And then we go another 3 innings, and Jim Leyritz hits the walk-off in the 15th, and it was like, man, Seattle did all that, and they're going to get swept.
Damn,
They come
yeah.
back and win game 3 with Randy Johnson. And then in game 4, they're down 5-0 almost instantly. And then they come back. Edgar Martinez hits a grand slam in the 8th inning off John Wetland, who we'll be talking about here momentarily. And then the Yankees almost tie it in the 9th. The last out of the game, Bernie hit one. I forget what the Kingdom's dimensions were, but it died at the track, and it would have tied the game. And then game 5 was just unreal, too, where Cone pitched David Cone threw almost 150 pitches in game 5.
Yeah.
Like, that's never happening again. They tie it. The Yankees take the lead. Randy Johnson has to come in the 9th because the Yankees had the bases loaded.
I do remember that. Yeah.
He pitches the rest of the way. The Yankees take the lead in the 11th. And then every Seattle hitter reached base in the 12th or the 11th in the bottom half off Jack McDowell. By the way, this was the beginning of the legend of Mariano Rivera because he wins game 2 in this series. And much like Randy Johnson, he had to come in the bottom of the 9th of game 5 to make sure that Seattle didn't walk it off there either. So Rivera's legend begins in this series. It's Derek Jeter's first postseason series. We mentioned Posada's. It was Griffey's, Randy Johnson's first series. And as we said, if the Mariners win a 4-game set against, like Boston, because the Red Sox weren't what they are now, but to have that comeback and then beat the Yankees when you're an AL team that's never played a playoff series and you come back from 0-2 down and you win and you have to come back in all 3 games at home when your future is very much up and down. That's movie stuff, truly.
Yeah, and then on the other side, it was also Alex Rodriguez's first playoff series. If I'm
he was on deck when Edgar hit the double. That's right. Something to think about.
Yeah. So this like this series was kind of really like a really kind of like paved the way for like what the future of baseball would be for like the next like 5 to 10 years, or maybe even beyond that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it was Mariano's first his first postseason action. It was his rookie year. So that's like where the legend of him was born. He wasn't even he wasn't even really the designated closer yet at that point. I
No, it
think
was Bill Wetland.
He was just like the eighth inning guy.
5 1/3 innings, no runs, 3 hits, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk.
Sheesh, so he
Pretty good.
really just from day one just hit the ground running.
And I wonder, like, if any Yankee fans had like an inkling at that. Like, sometimes you never know when someone's about to come in, where it's like, yeah, history's about to change right here, and you don't even know it.
Yeah, no, it's crazy to think about that. I was there are times where I think about that, like, I wish I was, like I wish I knew I was living in the good times while they were going on, type of thing. Like sometimes I was thinking like, oh, if the Yankees do go on like some run, and before they got eliminated, I was like, oh man, like if the Yankees do go on some sort of run and win the World Series, like it would be nice to know you're living in the good times while they're happening instead of being so damn stressed out.
Oh yeah. I felt that way with both my Super Bowls. Like the whole time, you're like, I mean, are we good enough? Like, man,
Yeah,
but we have all these other flaws. We can't do it. And then all of a sudden, you're just like, oh shit, we actually were good enough.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Like what was I thinking? Of course we were good enough.
Yeah.
And speaking of
The good
John
old days.
Wetland, yeah, speaking of the good old days and John Wetland, we now turn our attention to the 1996 World Series. Yeah, there's really no other, I guess we each picked one, and we can kind of contest, I guess, if we feel there was a better one. But I have no contestment for your 1996 pick. But we'll go to the 1996 World Series, and we have this John Wetland signed baseball to lead us in.
Don't ask a man how much he makes. Don't ask a woman how much he weighs, and don't ask a Yankee fan what John Wetland's been up to since retirement. Anyway, this
I
might
actually
be,
have no idea what he's been up to, but I assume
like I said, you don't want to know.
I assume it can't be good based on that.
It is not. This is probably, I don't even know, probably is the most consequential World Series of the 90s, because I mean, it wasn't settled at this point, but it put in motion the idea of the Yankees being the team of the 90s, which to that point, the Braves arguably were.
They were.
I know the Blue Jays won their back-to-back, but the Braves had been in the mix year after year after year. And after the first 2 games of this series, I mean, it sure looked like, well, Braves are going to win this one. The Yankees aren't even close. They're going to go back-to-back, and who's going to stop these guys? And wow, they've got Chipper, they've got Justice, there's not a weak spot in this lineup, and they have the 3 Hall of Fame pitchers. Oh man. And this 19-year-old kid just showed up, and he's clubbing balls out of Yankee Stadium in his first World Series. Like, how are you supposed to beat these guys? And then
was that Andrew Jones?
That was Andrew Jones's introduction to the baseball world. Because I mean, he had played in the playoffs in the run up to that, but it's like, okay, well, but we know Chipper's important, we know Klesko's important, and McGriff and all these guys. We know that,
right?
But for Andrew Jones to dig into the box in his first World Series and just start launching against good pitchers, mind you. The first 2 games in Yankee Stadium were started by Pettit and Jimmy Key. Really good starting pitchers. And Andrew Jones was just out here letting it fly. And that was the indication of the next decade that we were about to get from him, and what I think we've talked on here before should be a Hall of Fame career. And then the Yankees go to Atlanta. They closed the chop shop because that was the last year for them in Fulton County Stadium. But Cone, kind of restarting his career after his injuries, has that great Game 3. There's the comeback in Game 4 with the Jim Leyritz home run, which really, for all intents and purposes, that was the moment of the series, because at that point
that was back at the track at the wall. We are tied, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
And
what
that was the
everyone
moment where everyone
that's
realized,
kind of what
oh,
everyone remembers from that World Series, I feel like whenever I cuz personally I wasn't really watching the Yankees or watching baseball yet in 96, like 98 was my first year, but
fair enough.
whenever I watch like videos on that World Series or that World Series run or anything like that, that clip is always referenced.
That was Joe Buck's first World Series. That was Fox's first World Series.
Yeah, he really set the tone with that call.
He did. It's one of those things that I think everyone's kind of come around on Buck. I mean, I
Yeah,
would
yeah,
certainly
I
put
have.
myself in that group. And going back and judging even his big calls back then, it's like he may not have always gotten everything right, but usually in the really big moments, he usually aced those. And that being
Yeah,
probably the first big moment of his career. And then game 5 was really everyone realizing, like, nope, Andy Pettitte is not afraid of this stuff because let me pull that up because he didn't finish the game. Wetland got the save, but he beats John Smoltz, who really was, as someone who lived through the Braves in the 90s,
fuck John Smoltz.
no disagreement here. But Maddox
That's
could be
the
beat in
Yankees.
the postseason. Tom Glavine certainly got beat in the postseason. John Smoltz was the one Braves pitcher that you always faced in the playoffs where you're like, well, this is going to be tough.
Yeah,
Not that you weren't afraid of Maddox, certainly, but like you had seen him get beat in the playoffs enough times where you're like,
yeah,
oh, hey, maybe we could do this. And
you've
with
seen
Glavine, you thought, hey, yeah, we could do this.
yeah, you've seen him be human.
Yeah, Pettitte goes 8 1/3. This is his second year. 5 hits, no runs, 4 strikeouts, 3 walks on 96 pitches. And he beat Smoltz, who goes 8. And John Wetland got the last 2 outs. And I know game 6 was close, but like once the Yankees won
Yeah,
3 in
Smoltz threw
Atlanta, after
135 in that game too.
yeah. And like once the Yankees won those 3 in Atlanta, after it looked like they were dead, it's well, they're not going to blow this at home. Like we just know that. And
Yeah.
ultimately that's how it played out.
Yep, that was how it played out. Game 6, October 26th, they close it out and they win their first. I believe that was their first championship since '81. So
78.
Oh, I guess they made it in '81.
They did. That was the Dodgers beating them in the strike year.
That's right. Yeah, that was their first World Series in 18 years at the time. Their 23rd championship at the time. And yeah,
Oh,
it really.
I didn't know that.
I believe it was, yeah, because what that would have been 23 or that would have been 23.
They never tell me the number. That's
I believe 98 would have been 24 and 99 would be 25. 2000 was 26, so 09 was 27. So yeah. But yeah, that would have been their 23rd championship at the time. And really, like you said, changed the trajectory as far as like who the team of the 90s was. Because back then, like you had a lot more dynasties, especially in baseball. And I feel like, like we really haven't even seen a team repeat in baseball since
you guys.
Since the Yankees three-peated. So
And
for
this
it
is really the one time where the Yankees were the underdog, because when you look at the Yankees lineup from game 6 and who they brought in from the bullpen, it's I mean, there are some guys who end up being a long-term part of it, like Jeter's in there, Tino's in there, Bernie Williams, of course. But
you
it's
got
like
Key Brian Hayes' father, Charlie.
caught the last out. Wade Boggs starts that game at third. Cecil Fielder's the DH. Strawberry's playing left field. Mariano Duncan's the second baseman. David Weathers is the first guy out of the bullpen in this game.
Luis Soho made a substitute appearance. I guess he pinch hit for Duncan. So I guess that was the early days of Luis Soho as well.
It's like, this somewhat was the Yankee team that we end up knowing for all those years, but it's like not entirely. Like there's some names that you're going to see.
No, it's the 98 roster has a lot of turnover to that 98 roster from this one.
Or like even the 95 Yankees, when you look in that series, it was like Randy Velarde had the hit that appeared to win the game in extra innings, or it's like or Pat Kelly's in there and Mike Stanley's in there, and it's like, man, it was these were those Yankees. Like the next year they started the dynasty run. It changes that quickly. Like, yeah, Deion James was the starting left fielder in Game 5 for the Yankees.
Yeah,
I can't say I know anything about that man.
Yeah, this is the first I'm hearing of this development. So,
Ruben Sierra on the first of his 4 tours with the Yankees, I believe.
Good old Ruben. Yeah, that was.
I will say that series in '95 with Ruben Sierra, he had an all-time. I don't know if it was a bat flip, but he pimped the hell out of one that even back then people were like, "Oh, you can't do that. That's real unsportsmanlike." I'm like, objectively, if I'm calling balls and strikes here, that's just fucking cool.
Yeah. Yeah, like if I'm calling balls and strikes, that guy's got some balls.
Yeah, he could have done the Pedro Serrano there. I think he would have been well within right.
Yeah, no, he could have done whatever the fuck he wanted in that moment. But yeah, then we stay in the World Series in 1997 with some new blood. In this one, we had the Florida Marlins and the Cleveland at the time Cleveland Indians. So yeah, I know that this World Series did end with a walk-off single in Game 7.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you know, obviously that wouldn't be the first time that that would happen in this. That'll be brought up in this episode. But yeah, let's dive into this series.
Most everyone's gonna remember the Edgar Renteria walk-off. Understandably, it's a extra inning Game 7 walk-off, so of course.
Yeah.
But this was a pretty fun series in total. These teams traded victories all the way through. Florida beats Oral Hershiser in the playoffs. Like, that was a thing that did not happen in Game 1. Like, that was never a thing until the Marlins did it. And then in Game 2, Cleveland beats up Kevin Brown,
Kevin Brown getting shelled in the playoffs. Who would have thunk it?
I can't say that's happened yet. Maybe we'll talk about that later. I don't know. But there is certainly a period there from 96 to about 98, and spoiler alert, he's going to be up next year too, where Kevin Brown was on the very short list of, I mean, sure, if you want to say he's behind Johnson, Clemens, and Pedro, sure, but Kevin Brown absolutely was one of the 5 best pitchers in baseball for a multiple year stretch, this being one of them. And Cleveland beat him twice in this series and hit him pretty good at that. Then Game 3, when they go to Cleveland, this was pretty unreal. Cleveland at one point in this game, they're up 7-3 after 6. And then the Marlins get 2 in the 6th, 2 in the 7th, 7 in the top of the 9th. So you're thinking, okay, well, this is over. And then Cleveland get 4 in the bottom half. 14-11 ends up being the final. To which I have watched the 97 World Series film. I did get that as a Christmas present because, living here, at that point, the Mets fans had no beef with the Marlins whatsoever.
Yeah.
And living where the Marlins train, I think I've said here on the show, the very first year that we had a minor league team here, Edgar Renteria was on that team. So when Edgar Renteria gets the hit in Game 7, we felt like we won.
Yeah,
hey, we knew that guy was good. See, but after Game 4 ends, in the World Series film, when Game 4 ends, Jim Leyland goes, "Well, I thought it was awful for 26 outs," and then they hit that ground ball to Counsell, and then it became the most beautiful game I ever saw in my life. Still one of the funniest lines I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Game 5, or Cleveland wins Game 4 10-3. Nothing really eventful there.
Fun fact about that Game 3: it had a 4-7 ninth inning.
It did 11 runs in a ninth inning. I wonder if that's ever been beaten for total runs in a ninth inning in any game ever.
Yeah, hopefully you bet on that. Because you would have made a lot of money if you bet on that.
There had to be bloodbaths that night, I'm sure.
Yeah.
This Game 5 is interesting because Livan Hernandez was the series MVP. He goes 8 innings that night. He ultimately starts the 9th, and then Cleveland starts to hit him. But he ultimately finishes with 6 runs, 5 earned, 8 walks, 2 strikeouts, 7 hits on 142 pitches. Got series MVP. Series MVP.
Sheesh. Hey, man. They don't ask.
They don't ask how. They ask, did you?
Yep, and he did.
Juan Hernandez's ERA in that series was 5.27, and he got him.
And he won World Series MVP. That's
ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know.
Darren Dalton had a 11.21 OPS in this series. Moises Alou had an 11.01 with 3 homers, all of which seemed pretty big. Kind of surprised he didn't get it.
Yeah. I feel like you could have definitely made a case for Darren Dalton looking at the
Sandy Alomar had maybe the greatest postseason that no one remembers because they lost. He had a 1,006 OPS in this series, plus he was catching. I remember at the time being like, dude, is Sandy Alomar the better Alomar brother? Because, wow.
Yeah. They've never given the MVP to the World Series MVP to a member of the losing team, have they? I mean, if you don't know that,
I don't think they have.
Okay, yeah, I can't think of any particular time.
I might have to look at that after, but it's not coming to mind. At least in our lifetimes, I don't think it's happened.
No.
Game 6, Chad OJ beats, not OJ Simpson, in case Manny Ramirez is watching, beats Kevin Brown 4-1. And then, of course, the memorable Game 7 where the Marlins tied in the 9th, which, when we talk about all-time devastating losses in my lifetime in baseball, that might be hard to beat for one game. You pretty much lead it the whole way.
Yeah, you get the 2 runs in the second inning.
Cleveland starts a rookie in Jarrett Wright. He shoves for basically 7 innings. You've got your pretty reliable closer out there in the 9th, and then everything falls apart. I remember there were 2 things because MLB Network did a special on those Indians teams all those years later. And one, Mike Hargrove started calling pitches in the 9th inning, which, if I was a Cleveland fan, boy, would I not want to know that. Because Jose Mesa is basically like, he never did that before. Why would you do it now? Yeah. It's like, you trusted him to get this far. Like, now you want to have the manual?
Yeah, he pulled an Emmanuel Class A.
And Mike Hargrove said, he's like, the next spring training, somebody asked me, how long did it take you to get over losing that? And he goes, as soon as I do, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
And this was filmed in
you think I'm over that now?
And this was filmed in like 2016 or 17. He goes, I had a guy ask me 2 weeks ago, how long did it take you to get over losing that? And I said, as soon as I do, I'll let you know.
Yeah, no, he's taking that to the grave, unfortunately.
And I did see this is, so Charles Nagy was who gave up the hit to Renteria. They said every other pitcher who has given up a Game 7 walk-off hit to end the World Series got a ring later on. Ralph Terry, who gave up the Mazeroski homer in 1960. In 1960 for the Yankees, he already had one, and then I believe one after that. Charlie Leibrandt in the Braves Twins World Series already had one, and of course Rivera already had his. Charles Nagy was the only one who gave up a Game 7 walk-off hit and never won.
Damn.
That's tough.
Yeah. A game 7 walk-off hit in a World Series to never get back or win one or had one before that. Yeesh. Thoughts and prayers go out to him.
Yeah, that was one of those, like I said, like at the time we were all happy for the Marlins, but in retrospect, like, yeah, you could have given them that one, especially knowing that they were never going to get back there.
Yeah, especially knowing that Cleveland would, well, they'd get back there, but they wouldn't win it. But yeah, and then I guess in the long run, that Marlins World Series ended up being kind of consequential for Mets fans. But yeah, I'm sure at the time, especially being a resident of Florida with the Renteria connection. I'm sure you and yours must have been ecstatic.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
Before 1998, we go to the National League Championship Series between the San Diego Padres and the Atlanta Braves.
I actually had for this one, I had the NLDS between the Padres and Astros because
Oh, my bad. That was my mistake.
that's all right. Um, yeah, that NLCS, the Padres go up 3-0. The Braves get it to 3-2 to go back to Atlanta, and then Sterling Hitchcock has the start of his life. I remember that. But this 98 division series, I do remember for the fact of Randy Johnson is still considered one of the great trade deadline acquisitions of all time because he was just unreal from the moment the Astros got him in the summer of 98. He loses game one in a pitcher's duel to Kevin Brown 2-1. Kevin Brown goes 8 innings, strikes out 16, and he gives up 2 hits on 119 pitches. Randy Johnson goes 8 innings, gives up just 2 runs, and one of them was a home run too. I believe Greg Vaughn. Greg Vaughn got him. One in the 6th, one in the 8th. That was it.
This was
Like an
this was
all-time
game
pitcher
one.
duel. And then in game
Yeah.
4, Randy Johnson strikes out 8 in 6 innings, 1 walk, 2 runs, one of them earned. And he goes 0-2 in the series after being pretty much unhittable for 2 months. And that started the Padres' unlikely run because pretty much when that postseason started, it was, well, the Braves just won 106 and they have this incredibly stacked roster. It'll be them. If it's not, it's got to be the Astros just having Randy Johnson. And they had won 102. And somehow the Padres got through.
So everyone kind of thought like that it was going to be another Yankees Braves World Series.
Oh, absolutely.
That's pretty much what people were preparing them for themselves for. But then the Padres come in the NLDS with some I mean every game except for the last one was only decided by a run. And then it looks like they blew their doors off there in game 4, and and obviously a lot of Randy Johnson early on, and looks like he did have his share of his struggles before he won one, which
And I
you
should
can
note,
see in this
this
series.
was a Houston team that had Shane Reynolds, who won 19, Jose Lima the year before he had his all-time year, and a young Mike Hampton, like before he truly broke out, which he did the next year. And this was really the first year that Billy Wagner kind of became the guy full-time. He got beat in the 9th inning of game 2, although ultimately that was the one the Astros won.
Yeah,
So this was a loaded. I mean, you look up and down this roster. Jeff Bagwell had 6.3 award for this team, with 34 homers and 19 steals. Craig Biggio had 20 homers and 50 steals. The Astros got Moises Alou from the Marlins. They had Carl Everett in center field. They had a still useful Derek Bell and right. This was a very loaded team.
yeah, Richard Hidalgo. I haven't heard that name in years.
A July 2004 Met legend.
Yeah.
I'm not even
That's
joking when I
right.
say that.
Yeah, you guys got him from what? You guys got him from the Blue Jays, or he went to
No,
the Blue Jays
he was still on the
after?
Astros then.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you guys traded. I see, and then he went to. And then he went to the Rangers after. For some reason, I thought he was on the Blue Jays at one point, but I guess not. Also, this series, for what the team's logos were at the time, very aesthetically pleasing,
Oh
like
yeah.
uniform logo matchup as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is one of those that, like, the further we get away from it, that blue and gold Astros look is really strong. They
Yeah,
have better ones in their history, obviously, with the original Tequila Sunrise, but that one, the blue and gold,
that
gets
one's
slept on.
very
It's loaded.
that one's very underrated, I would say, as far as Astros logos go. I mean, I think most of them are ugly, but yeah, that one is very good. But yeah, I mean, we all know how this season ends, but yeah, it does seem like in a year where there were no 5 or 7 game series, it does seem like a series like this with with the closest games and with a lot of legends of the game who are still maybe in the earlier stages of their career, and some other guys that were maybe at the tail end of their career like Derek Bell, but we're still still in a useful still useful contributors to that team. Yeah, that's definitely a good call there. And then for 1999, you had the Braves Mets NLCS.
A truly all-time series, which most people remember the last 2 games of that series. Understandably, you have the grand slam single, and then people know about the Kenny Rogers walk that ends it. But that was Game 6 was one of maybe the best game the Mets were ever involved in that they lost, or at least that I've seen. The Braves were up 5-0 in the first inning. They knocked Al Leiter out in the first, and then they scored 3 in the 6th. The Braves get 2 in the bottom half of that inning. The Mets get 4 in the top half to tie it with the Piazza home run going the opposite way off John Smoltz, leading to the great Bob Costas line. Tied at 7, hoping for Game 7.
Yeah.
And then the Mets take the lead in the 8th. John Franco can't hold it. The Mets score 1 in the 10th. Armando Benitez doesn't hold it in the bottom half. And then Kenny Rogers loses the strike zone. But just an all-around unreal game in total in terms of... by the way, the first man out of the pen that night for the Mets after Al Leiter, Pat Mahomes throwing 4 innings of one-hit shutout ball. Maybe the best in the family, as long as we're here to discuss that.
Yeah, maybe the best in the family.
That's
definitely
right.
definitely the realest in that family.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean he was ready. He was outside at the Super Bowl ready to fight John Rocker in the Big 25. So
I stand with him.
Yeah, I stand with him. Or he was he was outside drinking like 10 minutes before his son was about to play in a AFC Championship game. So yeah, he's that's a that's a in so many ways Pat Mahomes is a for the love of the game type of baller.
This was the genesis of that feud between New York and John Rocker, which will never die, was that series. Because at first it's just, it's this fucking loudmouth redneck and we can't hit him. And then it's, he's a piece of shit.
Was that when he was this the time where he made those comments?
He made those in the off season following this. So I want to say that December that happened. Because if he had said that during the series, he ain't making out of that alive. He barely did the next year.
Yeah, because I remember, I remember even the following, like when I do remember even when the Yankees played the Braves in the World Series that year. I do remember Yankee fans like booing John Rocker pretty profusely, and I remember asking my dad like, "Oh, why?" Like, I know it's like the World Series and whatnot, and these guys are like our enemies, but why are they like especially booing him? And he was like, "Oh, he said a bunch of shit about like New Yorkers and stuff." But I guess like the more racist stuff he said was the following off season.
Yeah, he might have. I think he might have just said like, the usual, like, maybe to like rile up a crowd and be like he was already a pantomime villain, so to speak. Yeah, in a story published in the December 27th, 1999 issue is when all that crazy shit got said.
Yeah. So a couple months after that.
Yeah.
I do have vague memories of this. I do have vague memories of this series, and then I do believe I remember. Because I remember watching. I do think I remember watching that that Game 5 that the Mets walked off. Was it a did Robin Ventura walk that game off?
That's the one, the grand slam single.
Okay. Yes, I remember. Yes, I remember that pretty well. I remember watching that at my grandpa's house.
That was 13-year-old me was in tears when the bottom of the 15th started because Atlanta had taken the lead, and I'm like, this, because I've said on here before, that was the first Met team that I like lived and died with.
Yeah, so you thought,
and I remember being like, this can't be how it ends.
It can't end like this.
And Sean Dunston, salute to him forever, 12 pitch at bat to start the inning, draws the walk, and that set everything in motion for what was to come. And still, out of all the lessons and things that I've learned from my dad just watching him, and I, consider him a great human being, the best thing he ever did for me was send me to bed before the bottom of the 11th of Game 6. Because I was like, but Dad, it's tied. What if they lose? Then the season's over. I don't want to see that. If the season's over, I want to be there. And he's like, it's a school night. You got to go to bed. I'm like, but this is the playoffs. This is it. It's like, it's 12:30. It's a school. You got to go to bed.
Damn.
Fine. Woke up the next morning. I'm like, so what happened? And I just remember I hadn't put Sports Center on yet. And he's like, wait, we didn't get out of it. All right. Well, who hit the home run? Chipper, Brian Jordan was. What? It wasn't a home. All right. Well, somebody hit a double. I'm sure it was Chipper. He's been. No. Well, what? Rogers walked Andrew. They what? And I assure you, as poorly as I handle things now, 13-year-old me would not have handled a bases loaded walk to end the season any way that's considered good.
Yeah.
I'm still mad at Kenny Rogers now.
Yeah, I'm Kenny Rogers, and this is the Jackass.
He is the Jackass. But also should be noted, like we said, those last two games get all the attention, and sure. But game one, the Braves come back late, win 4-2. Game two, the Braves win that game 4-3, and they did so with 4 runs in the 6th. Game 3 is a 1-0 duel between Glavine and Leiter. Game 4, the Mets get 2 off John Rocker in the bottom of the 8th inning to keep the season alive. There were no blowouts in this series whatsoever. This was from start to finish.
I mean, the only game that was decided by more than 1 run was game 1, and even
that was still up for grabs all the way.
Even that was that was a competitive game the entire every step of the way. I mean, they got a run in the 1st inning. You guys answered back in the 4th, and then they get a couple in the 5th and 6th and the 8th. But yeah, even in that 9th inning, like the Mets were threatening. So like as long as the series was going on, like no team really took their foot off the gas in this one at any point.
This is the thing that I think it's why the 99 team I think is held in higher regard than the 2000 team that got to the World Series. Because it was so emblematic of them that like they died on their sword. It's like, all right, you lost in the bottom of the 11th of Game 6 after you were down 5. You took the lead, you gave up the lead, you came back, you tied it again. They tie it again, you go back in front like that. That's just how they were. It's like, you might beat us, but you're going to earn it. And there's something that I think any fan of any team can respect of. Maybe we didn't get those last 3 wins, but man, I'm proud to say I got to watch that team, and we were fun while they were doing it. And I think there's a thing that Met fans often do where it's like, out of all the teams that got close, who's the one that you would want to give the ring to finish the job? 99 gets a lot of shouts, and I can't say they're wrong for that. For me, it might be 15, but that's like a personal thing with me. But anyone who says 99, I certainly don't think you're wrong. Because it'd be like, yeah, Piazza should have one. Gordo Alfonso should have one. Olerud. I know he won his 2 with Toronto, but I think John Olerud's Met resume would have been even better with a ring. Al Leiter certainly the same as well. And it's emblematic of the fact that they had a 7-game losing streak in September. They were pretty much dead going into the last weekend. They rallied to force the game 163. Then they have that dramatic series with the Diamondbacks, and then again they lost. I know people might say this is defeatist, but if you can lose with honor,
right.
That team did, because it's not like the Braves steamrolled them. They had to earn every one of those.
Yeah, and I do remember that year obviously watching. I do remember obviously watching the Yankees in the ALCS, and then watching the Mets in the NLCS. And I do remember I was rooting for the Subway Series at that time.
Part of me thinks that we were better prepared to play the Yankees in 99 than we were in 2000. I'm not saying for sure that we beat you, but it's like that year in those 6 games, it was like, hey, we're not far off that. Like if we had to play them in the World Series, like maybe we could beat them. Whereas by the time we got to it in 2000, it was like, yeah, we're here, but like these are by that point the intimidation factor of like, yeah, these are the Yankees. They're gonna
Right.
find a way. Like
Yeah,
that
it was kind
fear
of
was there.
yeah. Yeah,
I
but
don't I
that
don't
that
know if in
was
'99 that as Met fans that we felt afraid where it's like, all right, hey, if we got to go through the Yankees in the '99 World Series, then let's go do it. But I
yeah.
think by 2000 it was, man, they just don't lose. How do you beat that? I mean, I know I felt that way.
Yeah. But that was one of those series that like as a young fan, like, first or second year getting into the game, like that was one of those series that just showed you like just how great baseball can be on
Oh, for
all
sure.
on all levels. For 2000, we this might be the first one where we have a disagreement, but for 2000,
Okay.
your pick was the Yankees Mariners ALCS. Personally, I probably would have went with the Yankees A's ALDS, where the Yankees came back.
That's fair.
Um, Yankees came back down 5-0. Yankees came back from down 2-0 in that series. Of course, you had the crazy Derek Jeter flip play
That
on.
was the next year. That that was 01
Oh yeah,
where
that
the
was
flip play
01.
happened.
You're right. You're right. That's You're right. Fuck.
They
I
did beat
mixed
the
that up.
A's in the
We did
division
beat
series
the
in
A's.
5 that year.
Yeah, we did beat the A's 3-2 that year though in 2000. But yeah, I still might take that ALDS over it, but um let's talk a little bit about this ALCS.
This really it's weird because the Mariners are in the next two ALCS, but this certainly feels like the end of the '90s Mariners, because this is A-Rod's last series with Seattle, and there is a little bit of a bridge between that and the Ichiro teams. Um, but this was a great series from start to finish. You have Freddie Garcia win game 1 2-0. Then the Yankees kind of dominate the next two in Seattle, no less. Or no, game 2 was in the Bronx, game 3 in Seattle, and then Clemens goes out and has an all-time game 4, a complete game 1 hitter with 2 walks and 15 strikeouts on 138 pitches. Dear God.
Good
And
lord.
then Freddie Garcia wins game 5. And then game 6 is an all-timer where I believe the Mets had clinched the night before, and it was, well, is it going to happen or are the Mariners going to do this? And going into the bottom of the 7th inning, it was 4-3. And then the Yankees explode for 6, and David Justice has the big home run that pretty much put the series out of reach. El Duque goes 7, throws 128 pitches, much like his brother, 7 strikeouts, 5 walks. and Rivera gets the last 2. Did get touched up for a run, surprisingly enough. Brought his postseason ERA to a robust .93.
I see that.
But yeah, this was one of those where obviously the Yankees had won 3 of 4 before that. But
Yeah.
you combine this with the Oakland series before that, this is where the fear factor truly took over with the Yankees, where it's just like,
Yeah, they'll just always
guys,
find
then you got to kill them again, and then you got to kill them again. Like they don't go away. How do you beat these guys?
Yeah.
Because that was a
Yeah.
very good Seattle team that, credit to A-Rod, his slash line in this series was 409, 480, 773. Just an unreal line. But you have Bernie Williams with a 1090 OPS, Jeter with a 1055 OPS in this series. He slugged 591. Justice with an 824 OPS and the big hit of the series. Tino had an 890 OPS. It's just, if you stopped one guy, 3 more were popping up. And this was probably Clemens at his very best for the Yankees in that series. That game 4 is probably maybe arguably the best game he ever pitched. And I say that knowing full well he struck out 20 once. But I remember watching that game and being like, are they going to get anything off him? Or are we going to see the first postseason no-hitter? We almost did.
It is kind of insane that that Orlando Hernandez was allowed to pitch 7 innings in this game 6 and throw 128 pitches while giving up that many runs and that many walks.
If that was a typical El Duque start, you'd look at the end and you'd be like,
how did he get that?
I guess he did walk 5 guys, but I didn't think he looked bad.
Yeah. Like, I guess he gave up 6 runs, but I mean, yeah, he looks pretty on point.
Yeah, you never felt like he was out of control of that. So the one hit Clemens did give up in game 4, a leadoff double in the bottom of the 7th to Al Martin, which, like, that's a name that it's like, I can't say that I've never heard of him, but it was like, Al Martin was still playing baseball in 2000? That's not ringing any bells.
Yeah, that feels like it was probably like one of the last hits of his career.
Oddly enough, also playing in that game for the Yankees, Clay Bellinger took over as a defensive replacement, and Dan Wilson was the starting catcher for the Mariners. I wonder what they're doing now. Anyway.
I wonder. Yeah, I do wonder
what is that. What is that Alex character doing these days?
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely definitely a classic. And then your pick for the 2001 playoffs was
the easiest.
Yeah, the easiest one. The easiest one, Diamondbacks Yankees World Series, and it's hard to disagree. As good as that ALDS was, and how much happier it made me, it's hard to disagree with just how incredible the 2001 World Series was. I mean, especially if you grew up in New York and knowing what happened a month before and everything surrounding that. And then you have this, just this crazy series where, right off the bat, Diamondbacks dominate the Yankees in the first 2 games. Yankees can't hit Kurt Schilling, can't hit Randy Johnson. Then Clemens comes back, pitches a great game in game 3. Clemens comes back, pitches a great game in game 3. We get the RBI hit from Jorge Posada. We got one from Scott Brosius as well. Or it was a home run for Posada, and then I think Brosius had a RBI single with 2 outs to give us the edge in that game in the 6th inning. And then so you had that to give us some life at 2-1. Then you had two extra innings thrillers where where the clock strike, because of the September 11th attacks and sports being delayed for a week. You had the first ever November baseball. You had the Halloween game where the clock struck midnight because it went into extra innings. And then Derek Jeter became Mr. November with the or that was the following night, actually.
No, he was game 4.
Oh, it was game 4 where he hit the walk-off home run?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that's right. He hits the walk-off home run off of Byung-Hyun Kim and becomes Mr. November. So that
Diamondbacks probably shouldn't have pulled Schilling after 8 in that. And there was like a whole, they had Bob Brenly mic'd up for that game, and he was just like, no, it's fine. Bullpen's got this. You did your job. And I'd have to look.
I don't know. He only threw 88 pitches.
Count in that.
Yeah, he only threw 88.
Yeah, like that was like Bob Brenly all time off the hook for pulling that, because series probably is over right there if Arizona goes up 3-1. But as we've talked about on the show before, because we were talking about teams that like we'd like to give a title to, we talked about 01.
Yeah.
It was just destiny that it had to happen that way, that even if the Yankees lost the series, to win all 3 in New York this way. Like
they needed to,
right.
Yeah, they needed to win all 3 of the games in New York, at least in dramatic fashion. So, it's obviously extremely hard to four-peat. So, they at least gave us that along the way. I mean, maybe galaxy brain thinking from the D-backs manager, because with Kurt Schilling only throwing 88 pitches in that game, it had him well rested for to be able to come back in relief in Game 7.
Oh, no. Schilling started Game 7. Randy Johnson came in relief.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Because he
Randy
threw like
Johnson came
100
in
something
relief
the day
the
before.
next day. That's
Yep.
right. That's right. Yeah. And then Randy Johnson, I think, pitched like I think he pitched like it was a 9th inning, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah. I do remember that.
This would have been the all-time, like, as the great Trill Withers like to say, this would have been like the all-time dick showing moment from the Yankees had they won this series. Because, Chris, do you know what their OPS was as a team over 7 games?
The Yankees team OPS in 01.
Yep.
Was it 500?
528.
528.
They hit 183 as a team.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
You win that at 188. It's just like, you know what? Nothing's real anymore. Fuck this.
Yeah.
Wasn't even the point.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been insane to win with that high of an OPS. But yeah, I just remember being like, oh yeah, like in the 8th inning when we finally got Schilling out, I was like, okay, like we got him out. Like I was like, we got him out, and we got him out. We're taking the lead, and then we took the lead. I was like, okay, like we got this. Like we exercised the demon or whatever. And then in the 9th inning, Randy Johnson comes in, and it's just like, you motherfuckers, like you're doing this. Like he's really coming in the next day. And then
all that was missing was the stone cold glass break.
Yeah. Except instead of that, it's a bird exploding.
You know who really probably wants to fight Rivera the most out of anybody? Alfonso Soriano.
Yeah.
Because he has the winning hit in Game 5, and he has the go-ahead homer in Game 7. And if the Yankees win that series,
he's undoubtedly the World Series
MVP and what he would have meant that year to Yankees fans. Like I'm not joking when I say this. His numbers retired today for that.
Yeah.
Like and I think like his national reputation's probably bigger because it'd be like, oh, that's the guy who won the 2001 World Series. Instead, it's like, oh yeah, he was. He could have won that series.
Yeah, he's a little bit because it didn't end the way. Because it didn't end, the way we wanted it to. It ended up being more of a like Alfonso, not an obscure Yankee, but like kind of like Alfonso Soriano. Like you kind of remember him and we're like, oh yeah, like he was always solid, like he was always good, but you don't remember like how close he was to like actually being like a fucking legend.
Immortal. DJ LeMahieu is sitting here going, yeah, me too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean that is fair. That is fair. And then for can only talk about the 2001 World Series for so long without bringing up painful memories. But
to be fair, Chris, my turn in the barrel's coming in a little bit. So
hey, yeah, no, you're right. You are correct. We all have to eat the brunt of the barrel sometimes. But for 2002, it is the 2002 World Series. The first all matchup. I actually just realized this when I saw this, but in theme with the wild card, this is the first all wild card matchup in the World Series. You had the Angels, a very exciting series, beating the Giants in 7 games. I do remember, I remember watching this, and I remember rooting for the Giants because I was always a big Barry Bonds fan, and the Angels had eliminated us that year.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I was like not really trying to root for them.
Understandable. I just realized it. Like I knew Barry Bonds went off in that postseason and that World Series specifically, but like actually seeing it laid out is insane. Do you know what Bonds' OPS was for the series?
Without looking, I'm gonna guess it was 1159.
His slugging was 1294.
Oh God! So it was like what?
His OPS was 1994.
Oof.
He had a 700 on base. 700 on base.
Then I'm seeing that now. They must have intentionally walked him a lot. Yeah, they walked him 13 times. I don't know how many of those are intentional, but I assume most of them.
Oh man, they don't list IBB in here. They do list. He had 13 walks.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I would love to know
that's
how
kind of
many.
surprising they don't have IBB in there. I would have thought,
Yeah, specifically for this.
Yeah, a rare flub from Baseball Reference on that one. We appreciate them around here. We love them. It's helping us do this, but yeah, kind of wish you had that ready to go there.
Yeah, Fangraphs might have it.
Well, actually, I guess if I pull up Bonds' game log, they might have it. That's probably easier to do. Let's see.
That's true.
Postseason. Was 2002 IBB. So game 1 is he had 7, including 3 in game 4.
So more than half of them were intentional.
Well, and I think the moment that everyone really remembers from this series is the home run off Troy Percival. And the only reason that happened, I can't remember if it was 2-2 or it was a full count, but the Angels were up 2 and there was no one on base. And Troy Percival basically said afterwards, like, hey, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to let it rip. If he hits a home run off me, I still have the lead. I know I've got the situation under control, even if he felt like, hey, look, I'm never going to get this opportunity again. This is the best hitter on the planet. He is in nuclear mode right now. I'm just going to throw this as hard as I can and see if I can beat him. And you know what? I got to respect it.
This was in game 1?
Game 2.
In game 2.
So it was 11-9 in the 9th, and Percival was just like, you know what? Why not?
Yeah. Just put it all on the line. Just see it. Sometimes it's fun, just to see how you stack up. Like, would love to pitch to Barry Bonds just to see like how far he could hit a baseball off of me.
And that led us to the all-time moment of Tim Salmon just being like, that's the farthest ball I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is when they switch, if you go back and watch if you even can slow it down on YouTube, where there's the camera angle from center field and you see Bonds make the connection and everyone immediately is like, oh my God. When they turn it to track it, they never got it. That's how high and that's how fast it got out.
It went out.
Camera angle didn't even have enough time to recover to find the ball.
Yeah, that would have if StatCast existed back then, that would have broken it.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a proper measurement for how far that actually went because we never saw it land. You don't see a section in the stands where it's people going for
fighting over the ball. Yeah,
it's just everyone going.
What the? Yeah. He might have damn near hit it out like on the stadium.
This is one of those things, and I can't say that I was always of this opinion, but I mean, I think I've made my peace with that here on this show. That it's like I've came around on it, but there are people today that can still watch that and be like, no, that's not great at all. I can't help you.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I cannot. I can't help you either. Can't help you, and can't really respect you either.
Yeah, nobody else on steroids did that.
Nope.
And then, of course, we have the Game 6. And I didn't know this till recently, that Dusty Baker gave Russ Ortiz the game ball as he's walking off the mound in the 7th inning with the Giants up 5-0. Oh, boy. That's an all-time, why would you tempt fate? Like, if it was 15-0, sure. There's no way you blow that. 5-0?
Yeah, I don't know. Dusty Baker managed the Giants back then.
Yeah, this is what's crazy. Dusty Baker managed that Giants team, and then he managed the Cubs the next year. That's brutal.
Yeah. I mean, it does look like, from looking at the box score, it does look like Russ Ortiz was kind of starting to labor because he was charged with some earned runs. So
yeah. Now the pen gave that up, but prior to that, it
He
was
put
like
them on.
at that night it was, wow, the Giants are actually, this is going to be it. They're finally going to win their first one, and then yeah, that's
And then
just a. I mean, I feel like we can discuss this properly now because the Giants have won their 3. But man, that's a tough way to lose.
yeah, 100%. And then game 7, game 7, it feels like the tone was set pretty early in that game by the Angels.
I found it. It says the estimated distance on that home run for Bonds was 485.
480.
I think they're selling it short.
Yeah, I'm calling shenanigans.
I think we're guesstimating. Also, this series provided us the Darren Baker moment, and Darren Baker has since made the major leagues. I'm gonna go lie down, Chris.
Yeah, it's past our bedtimes.
Yeah, it's that happened when the sun went down.
Yeah, right.
Hey,
wait, what was the Darren Baker moment? Please refresh my memory.
Oh, so Darren Baker was 4 or 5 at that point, I think, or 6.
No,
Couldn't have been older than 6.
Buffy's kid, I assume.
Yeah, and he served as like one of the bat boys. I mean, I assume they have someone like of regular age doing it, but Dusty basically was like, "Hey, can my kid be here?" And like they weren't going to say no to him. So the play's going on. It's like an RBI double or something, and JT Snow scores. And I forget who was behind him on the bases, but he's coming around. But Darren Baker's just like, "Hey, time to go get the bat."
Oh yeah, I think I
remember. Shit, because Darren Baker, like at the least, he's taking a knee to the head from who I don't know who the other base runner was, but like at that height with someone running, or like God forbid the ball had. I don't think the throw got back to the plate on that play, so like this didn't happen.
If it was
that could have been like a
3-man
collision at the plate.
Yeah. So he damn near, he damn near almost risked it all in that moment.
I hope Darren is good to Uncle JT every birthday and Christmas because he owes him.
Yeah, he was just trying to do his job.
That's what they say. Where it's like, hey, leave the adults alone.
Yep. Yeah. So that was that was definitely a classic World Series, and the first and only World Series in Angels history. And it would all be downhill from there. And I believe it was David Eckstein who won the MVP, if I'm remembering correctly.
He would win a World Series MVP later, but it's one I wish he hadn't won. Troy Glaus was the MVP of this series.
Gotcha. Yes, and we'll get a little bit closer to that World Series MVP that Eckstein did win. But first, we got the 2003 playoffs, and I think we had a bit of a consensus that for this postseason, it's kind of just all of them.
This is the only one.
I would maybe.
I don't know how you feel. For me, this is the only postseason where they're all heaters. I can't pick one above the other. Even the division series, even the ones that went 4 games were great.
Yeah, like that one where the Marlins beat the Giants in 4. That was the one where what's his name and Pudge Rodriguez collided at the plate, right? And
JT Snow.
The one and only JT Snow and Pudge Rodriguez colliding at the plate.
And
that ended the series, didn't it?
That was a walk-off play at the plate, the only one of its kind. Well, no, I guess. Oh, yeah. There's the Sid Bream one. So there's been a few. That's the only out at the plate to end a series. There's been safe calls at the plate, but that's the only out.
That's right.
And even that, like, that's obviously the one that everybody remembers, obviously. But game 1 was 2-0 to the Giants. Jason Schmidt beats Josh Beckett. Game 2 had a Marlins comeback. Game 3, the Marlins win in extras, which Pudge Rodriguez had a walk-off hit there. So, like, all 4 games of that series, just outstanding baseball all the way through.
Yeah, just straight bangers from the get-go. And then
Cubs
Of
Braves
course,
goes the distance.
yeah. You had Cubs Braves going the distance. You had Red Sox A's going the distance in the ALDS.
It was a 2-0 comeback.
Yeah, it was a 2-0 comeback. That 03 AL division series between the Yankees and Twins was
Very,
also a pretty good series. I mean,
very underrated.
yeah, Twins won game 1, Yankees took the next two and then absolutely blew the brakes off of them in game 4, but I'd say the series is a lot closer than that than the score of that last game.
Yeah, game 1 was Johan Santana's first playoff start. That's kind of where, for a
Yeah.
couple of years, I remember Yankee fans being genuinely afraid of him. Where it's like,
Oh
you
yeah.
got to see him in the playoffs. Fuck.
Oh yeah,
It was
no, yeah.
understandable.
Johan Santana was not fun to go up against, and yeah, that was the beginning of that. Then of course you have probably two of the most iconic league championship series that you could really think of. I mean,
Oh,
you
absolutely.
you had the Marlins and the Cubs. Everyone knows what happens there. Everyone knows about Steve Bartman, Moises Alou, all that. But even before that, the Marlins won game 1 of that series in 11 games. Then the Cubs win game 3 in not 11 games, 11 innings. Then of course you have and then of course you have the Moises Alou, Steve Bartman play in game 6, and then the Marlins taking it away and wasting a Kerrywood home run in game 7.
Also, in game 4 of this series for the Cubs, Randall Simon hits a 9th inning grand slam to put the game out of wait, no, is that the other? Because that game 4 is 8-3, but there's a game in this series where Randall Simon hit a home run. Oh, in the 8th inning, Randall Simon hit a home run that put the Cubs ahead. It is not the most memorable thing Randall Simon did that year, and it was not in a Cub uniform either.
And what would that be?
That would be the as a member of the Pirates hitting the Brewers sausage race, or one of the sausage mascots. That
Oh
was the
yeah.
same year.
Yeah, Randall Simon really made his mark on MLB in 2003. And then in the ALCS, of course, you had the Yankees Red Sox. So you had the benches clearing brawl in Game 3 with multiple brawls really in Game
Yeah.
3. In a game the Yankees win 4-3, but
People forget there was
first
the bullpen fight.
there was the bullpen fight. Weren't fans involved?
I believe so.
Yeah, there was a bullpen fight. Fans were involved. You had Kareem Garcia got plunked, and then I think Kareem Garcia then slid hard into second base.
Yep.
So tensions were running really high, and then
Pedro did this, and Posada lost his mind.
and then all hell breaks loose when Clemens throws one up and in at Manny Ramirez, and the rest is kind of history there. Bench is clear. Don Zimmer gets tossed to the ground, and yeah, just absolute chaos. And then I remember even after that, I remember that game being like super chaotic and like super intense. And then the Yankees finally, because I think at the time where all that went down, I think at the time when all that went down, I forget what the exact score was. I think it was like 4-1 or 4-2 Yankees,
I want to say 4-2.
Yeah, it would have been 4-2 because the Red Sox got 2 runs in the first. Yeah, so like your butt's like clenched this whole time, and then the Red Sox score that run in the 7th inning, and then you get Jose Contreras and Mariano Rivera to hold them off. But yeah, I remember just like after that though, I felt pretty good that we were going to. I felt pretty good we were going to win the series after that, and then of course they they trade off the next 2 games. Then the Red Sox win game 6 to force the game 7. And then of course Red Sox go up 5. They go up 4-0 early. Jason Giambi hits a home run.
Game
Bottom
6
of the
was pretty
5th.
wild too.
Yeah. Game 6 was pretty wild.
Yeah, the Red Sox get 3 in the 7th and 2 in the 9th to win 9-6. There was
That's
like
right.
a Nomar hit a triple and Matsui like
Yeah,
it
Trot
was a
Nixon
windy
had a
day,
home
so like
run.
Matsui like puts everything on the throw and it just sails into the stands. I remember Ortiz had like an RBI double that hit the first base bag. It was 2004 gets remembered more for the totality of the series. I feel like 03 gets condensed into really two
Like the
moments,
the
but like the
pockets.
whole of 03 was just as good.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue it was better, but
I'm
that's
debatable.
in the eye of the beholder. And then of course Game 7, one of the classic games of all time. I mean, Red Sox are up 4-0 early. Jason Giambi hits that home run in the bottom of the 5th. Not really thinking much of it. He hits another home run in the 7th. Then the Red Sox add another run in the top of the 8th, and then we all know what happens in that 8th inning. Grady Little goes out to pull Pedro Martinez, and Pedro he wasn't pulling him. I think he was just talking to him, but Pedro basically said like, "Nah, like I'm good. I'll stay in the game." And he was like, "Okay." So he stays in the game, and then he gives up the he gave up the I forget who drove in. I know that Jorge Posada scored like a bloop single that turned into a bloop
Because
double
no
to
one
tie the
covered
game.
second.
Yeah, because nobody covered second. I I'm blanking on who got the RBI before that. Oh, well, Bernie Williams
Yeah,
also.
I think it was Jeter, Bernie, Matsui, Posada, I believe was the order of of
Yeah,
of how that went.
that's right. Yeah, so I think Matsui drove Jeter in, and then Posada drove in Bernie and Hideki to tie up the game. And then, of course, the game goes to extras. Trade off. You trade. You trade off a few scoreless innings. Mariano
Three
pitched.
three scoreless from Rivera here.
Yeah,
Maybe somehow the most unsung player in all of this is him doing
yeah,
that.
and like he was the most unsung player of this series, and he still won ALCS MVP this year.
Yeah,
But he's still like they should have given him 2 ALCS MVPs for his performance in this. But yeah, he goes
I'll hear it.
three. Yeah, he goes three scoreless. Then Aaron Bleepin Boone, who is now who is now getting his getting his lick back on our organization for that one moment. Now all these years later.
Two things I want to. One's a statement, one's a question. Uh, Maybe a more underrated player in this, Mike Mussina, because what gets lost in this Game 7 is the Red Sox knocked Clemens out before the 4th. Mussina, or in the 4th, I should say, because Mussina came in and got 3 outs, including a double play ball with, I want to say, might have been bases loaded, I
Yeah.
think. And then he threw 3 shutout innings, just 2 hits, no walks. So, like, another one there where, like, that game could have been over right then and there, and Mussina didn't let it happen. But maybe I'm asking the wrong person because I know you've talked about what 03 meant to you, so I
Yeah.
understand it. Maybe your answer is different, but how many Yankee fans would just let Boston win that series if it changes the next 22 years,
Oh man.
especially these last 7?
Especially, yeah. I
You
mean,
know?
in hindsight, in hindsight, I probably make that trade off too. With like what that year meant to me personally, I would make that trade off.
I was gonna say it's okay if you don't. I mean, I totally get that, but that's one of those things where it's like, man, if Boone's not the one who hits that, if Alfonso Soriano hits that home run, like Aaron
And
Boone's
Boone's not
working
our
on yes
manager.
right now.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think Aaron Boone's managing the team if he doesn't hit that home run. I do firmly believe that. Yeah, all things considered, and with the knowledge I have now, yeah, I probably make that trade off. And then just to put a bow on 2003, I mean, obviously, I didn't enjoy that World Series all that much, but I mean that World Series did have some bangers for some games. I mean,
Absolutely.
game one was an absolute banger of a game. Even though we lost, that was just like a neck and neck game the entire time. Juan Pierre made his presence felt early and often in this series. And I hope he's having a terrible day.
It was a good game that gets amplified by the shock factor because, the Yankees win it in that fashion. And for the next 36 hours, this was where the inevitability of the Yankees might have been at its peak. Because even in 0-1, it was like, okay, it was one bad inning at the end. Like, hey,
yeah,
nobody's perfect. Like, Rivera got the one time. Okay.
Yeah.
For the Yankees to then come back and win that way in Game 7, it's like, these guys just never die. And if they're in Yankee Stadium, you're sure as hell not going to beat them. And it was like, man, the Marlins have never been here, or at least like this iteration of the Marlins hadn't been there. So it's like,
no.
How the hell were a bunch of these young kids just going to come in here and beat this Yankee team? We just saw what they did. I mean,
especially in like
throwing up on themselves for them to get here. Marlins ain't going to do this, and then it's, oh no, they can hang. Okay.
Yeah, especially in like the cold weather at the time. Of the year, because I remember that year it was like a cold October. So I remember thinking like when the series went back to New York, I was like, oh well, we got this. Like they're not going to be able to beat us in the cold. But then like that inevitability of the Yankees kind of comes back because they win back-to-back 6-1 games.
Mm-hmm.
Then game four of this series was an absolute banger.
Clemens' potential last start. Miggy kind of introduces himself to the world. He takes the ball back and then takes a Moppo.
Yeah, this was the birth of this was like the baseball birth of Miguel Cabrera. And then you had the Alex Gonzalez walk off in the 12th.
It's one of the few things that I've heard Yankee fans ever really get Torrey on for is like, okay, yeah, you probably, this is different than bringing in Rivera in a tie game in a Game 7 because you got to handle that right there. And okay, you're not going to use him in a tie game on the road in Game 4. Okay, why was the guy who hasn't pitched in like a month coming in there? Like, you'd only used Nelson and Contreras. Like, there was absolutely nobody else you could have went to there besides Jeff Weaver, who hadn't pitched. Like, that just didn't make sense.
Yeah, that was like one of his few managing blunders was probably the way he managed or mismanaged the bullpen in that game. And
then it's something that I was actually just telling two of my coworkers in the office the other day who are Marlins fans, and it's like, yeah, you know about Beckett pitching on 3 days rest and all that, but it's one of those like if you weren't there, you don't understand how big of a deal it was. Basically, from the moment that McKeon announced he was going to do it until that game ended, where everyone's like, oh, they're going to ruin Beckett's career doing this. This isn't. Why wouldn't you save him for Game 7? He was good in Game 3. What are you doing? And everyone was convinced that it wasn't going to work and he was going to get shelled, and the Marlins just gave away the series. And after about 3 innings that night, it was, oh, they're not going to hit him.
It was very clear. It was very clear very early that the Yankees did not have what it took to hit Josh Beckett that night. And yep, he goes the distance. He makes the final tag. I believe Posada made the final out.
Mm-hmm.
He makes the tag, and fuck Josh Beckett.
Understandable.
Yeah. But 2003 playoffs as a whole, an absolute masterpiece and an absolute masterclass in October baseball. 2004, as much as it pains me to say, there's only one right answer for this one. Of course, the 2004 ALCS, Yankees Red Sox. Red Sox get their lick back. Yankees blow the 3-0 lead. We all know what happened, but I'll let you I'll let you break it down.
I mean, this was just, obviously it's the comeback. Like that's what highlights it, but it's knowing the rivalry and knowing all of the history. Not even just what had happened the year before. Obviously that plays a big part in it because really at that point in the sport, it was, all right, it's these two teams and everyone else. We know that. And basically it's like these two teams are just stacking talent, knowing that they're going to see each other again. Like we had waited all year to watch this series. I'll never forget the first weekend of the regular season that year, the Yankees go to Boston. So it's the first games, not counting spring training, obviously, but it's the first games of consequence since the ALCS. Fox aired a game on Friday night in the regular season. I don't think they've done that ever before or since. That's how big it was. It was like everybody needed to see that. And then we get to the ALCS and Schilling starts game 1. It's like, well, they got this guy for exactly this. Yep. And then they beat his ass and he's hurt. It's like, well, man, they got him for specifically this. And now it's like worst case scenario happened. What are you going to do? And then game 2 happens. And Pedro's like, okay, well, yeah, I lost last year, but all right, I'm here. And who's your daddy stuff happens. It's like, boy, this is going to be tough. And then game 3 happens and the Yankees put up 19 on the board. And it's like, man, well, if this Red Sox team can't do it, then who? And also, who's beating these guys?
Right.
Also, yeah. I'd be remiss. R.I.P. to Tim Wakefield. It'll always be love for Tim Wakefield on this side, and that's especially just because he's one of where I live, and he's arguably the most famous alumnus of the school I work at. So
no, I got nothing. I got nothing bad to say about Tim Wakefield. Legendary knuckleballer.
And then obviously, I mean, everyone knows, if you're of that age, all the insanity of games 4 through 7. And I mean, I was just telling, I was talking to my dad yesterday about the marathon game from Friday night. And it's like, I remember watching those games and having a heavily vested interest. Cause again, I was 18 years old. This might've been the peak of my Yankee hating, cause I still had residual bitterness from 2000. And I remember falling asleep in class from like after one of those days. It might've been after game 6. And I was like, man, I want the Red Sox to win because I dislike the other team. I can't imagine actually having real emotional investment in this and doing anything else.
Yeah.
Having to go to the store, having to talk to people. How do you do that?
Yeah, man, I remember in this series, I forget if it was the night before we won 19-8 or the night after we won 19-8 game 3. But I remembered having a dream that a very eerie dream where I had a dream that the Red Sox had won the World Series. And in my dream, right before I woke up, I was like, wait a minute, what happened? Yeah, that's one of those dreams that even though I had that dream 20 years ago or 21 years ago, I'll never forget it because of what happened after. But it was just the Yankees the Red Sox win the World Series. It's like I just remember it being the last out of the World Series and the Red Sox won. And I was like, wait, what happened to us? What happened to the Yankees? And then the dream basically fucking came true. But yeah, of course you had one.
Salam, brother. Can I ask for one more favor?
Go for it.
3-1 Mariners here in the. I've been intermittently checking in here on game 1 of the ALCS.
Yeah, I know that Raleigh hit a home run. And I know that I think Jorge Polanco had an RBI single.
I gotta say, I don't know if this works for everybody, but the Blue Jays panel hats are really. I like some teams pull the panel hat. I think they might be top of the list.
They're probably with the white front or whatever.
Yeah, I like that. It kind of has an all-star batting.
They might be the only team that can pull that off.
I remember when Citi Field had the All-Star game, that's what the batting practice caps looked like. And I never got one of those hats, and I wish I had because they look really good. They're probably on eBay somewhere. I should probably look for that.
Yeah.
But also, everyone talks about the Roberts deal and the bloody sock and David Ortiz, obviously. Yeah. Maybe the unsung hero of this, Derek Lowe pitching 6 innings in game 7 on 2 days rest.
And that gets
all three clinchers in their run. That never gets brought up enough.
Yeah, no, that definitely gets overlooked. But yeah, game 7, Derek Lowe was shoving the Red Sox jumped on the Yankees early, jumped out to a 6-0 lead in the first 2 innings. I mean, that point, you pretty much knew it was over. And then,
I was
Rubens.
going to ask. I mean, and I'm not doing this for trolling purposes because I generally try to be good with you. But was it the Ortiz homer where you're just like, well, fuck, that's it, or were you like, no, we're still the Yankees. We've been in tougher spots than this. I know we can. Or was it
At one
immediately
moment
like,
was
man, this shit's gone so bad. I know we're out of this.
So for me, I think it was after after game 4. I was like, all right, like we'll be okay. Like the Robert Steele and all that, like that was some spooky shit. But I was like, all right, like we'll be okay. Like I was confident. I was like, we'll be fine. Just shit happens. Like that was like their one last like we're not going down with a fight. But I kind of believed we were gonna. I kind of believed we were gonna win like the next game. I think, and then David Ortiz walks off that one, and I'm kind of like, uh-oh. Like at that point, I was like, well, we still have the 3-2 series lead, and we have 2 games at home, but man, like this is going, and like at that point I was like, but man, this is not going in a good direction. And then but yeah, and then by the time the bloody sock game happened and A-Rod punching the ball out of Doug Minkowicz's glove. Oh, it was Bronson Arroyo. That's right, because Arroyo
right
flipped it. Yeah, Mankiewicz flipped it to Arroyo. That's right. But yeah, once A-Rod punched the ball out of the glove, and we lose that game. At that point, I was like, yeah, we're not fucking winning Game 7. There's just no way. And then they made it very apparent very early that they weren't going to win Game 7.
Well, now I do have to ask, because this is burned into my brain as someone, like I've explained my position. But when Pedro came out in the 7th and the Yankees got 2, was there any part of your brain that's like, hey, wait a minute, I know this, I've seen this? Because I was like, no, you can't, it can't be foolhardy pride that gets them back. No, not like this.
Yeah, no, even then I wasn't really. Yeah, even then I wasn't really feeling that great about it. I mean, at that point, it was still 8-3, so I was just kind of like, all right, cool. We got some garbage time runs, but I mean, I never turned the game off or anything like that. But yeah, I pretty much felt hopeless from the very beginning of that game.
I still think we haven't had for a 2-year run, because there were other good series that year in that postseason, but it's like obviously because of the magnitude of it that kind of swallowed up all the oxygen. That might be the best 2-year stretch of postseason baseball. Like it felt like every single night, didn't matter who was on, didn't matter what round, you were going to put it on. You're like, well, something extraordinary is going to happen. And after a while, you're like, I know something amazing is going to happen. I know something historic, like something I'm going to be talking about forever, is going to happen. And it did. Not even just Sox Yankees. I mean, like Astros Cardinals had, spoiler alert, we're going to touch on that next. But the Astros and Cardinals had an amazing 7-game series that never gets talked about because this was going on. Like we said in 03, like every series, even in the division series, it's like, man, like not one of these games are missing. This is great. And I think we're all still kind of chasing the high of that time.
I would agree. We're definitely chasing the high of like that early 2000s playoff baseball. I mean, it's still great now, and like sure. as we go through this, we'll definitely go over some great memories. But yeah, the true high of that, or maybe it's just because we were like kids and didn't have responsibilities, but man, there's really no better time as far as watching baseball goes. But
and I'm also reminded, because I have it on right now. You know what we didn't have back then? Chat GPT commercials during the playoffs.
Oh man, yeah. What happened to the game I love? Anyways, 2005 NLCS Houston Astros St. Louis Cardinals Part 2. The Astros won this series in 6 games back when they were still in the National League. This was At this point, Andy Pettitte and Roger Clemens had left left the friendly confines of Yankee Stadium to kind of settle down, and I guess that this was like their kind of I think they were both planning on retiring in Texas because they were both from Texas, although they would find their way back into into the graces of the Yankee land. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's break down this 2005 NLCS.
Well, it's really going to come down to two games, which is going to be what you remember it for. But also, just looking at these pitching matchups, game one, Chris Carpenter, who won the Cy Young that year, beats Andy Pettitte. Game two, Roy Oswalt beats Mark Mulder. Game three, Roger Clemens beats Matt Morris, who maybe not as good as some of the names I just mentioned, but Matt Morris was a consistent all-star for quite a few years there in the early 2000s. Kind of gets lost in the shuffle with a lot of the Cardinal pitchers who would follow him, but he was really good for a long time. Game four got decided by the bullpens here, so let me check that one. Jeff Suppan, which just sent a shiver up my spine, and Brandon Backey for Houston. But then we get to game five, and one of the more dramatic moments, and that was Carpenter versus Pettitte again. But Pujols causes Brad Lidge to malfunction for 3 seasons, basically.
Yep. He hit that one home run that still hasn't landed.
Still just one of those. There is nothing quite like a home run that before the camera shot changes. Like, oh shit, that's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that
also,
was...
I don't think I've ever heard a crowd be that loud to that quiet that fast. I think that's still a record.
Oh, yeah.
Like, remember, there's 2 outs. And this was the back at the peak of, does Houston get to keep the roof closed? I think they had the roof closed that night. So that place.
Yeah, I think back then, and I don't know how it is, how it was back then, but I know that now, like, because they were talking about it in the Yankees Blue Jays series, that MLB makes the decision now. Like, the Blue Jays decide during the regular season, but MLB decides during the playoffs. I don't know if at that point in time, if like it was still a team decision.
I think MLB had it like under their jurisdiction at that point, because at that point, like, Houston had really developed a home field advantage at Minute Maid, more so than they ever had at the Astrodome. And, especially because the Astros were that good, those crowds were really into it because they hadn't got to a World Series yet.
Yeah.
So especially in that moment, it's the roof's closed. You're 1 out from your first pennant. You're a closer who people forget. Pre-home run, Lidge was just as good as he was for that stretch in Philly. Like, he was
one of the best closers in baseball that year.
Yeah, if you wanted to say he was the best non-Rivera closer, like, I'm not going to argue that. He was great. And so everyone's losing their mind. You can barely hear anybody, and then, I know what's going to happen.
Oh shit! Yeah, Pujols hit one literally to the moon.
And it's going back to St. Louis for the last 2, and basically from that moment until Game 6 ended, everyone was basically like, "Well, you don't get up off the mat from this. Like, we've seen this so many times. How do you recover from that?"
Yeah,
like, everyone assumed that the Astros were a dead team walking, and Roy Oswalt said, "Well, let me take care of that." 7 innings, 1 run, 3 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. And that was the moment where, like, ball knowers knew how good Roy Oswalt was. It's like, you got Clemens and Pettitte at the top, and they're the headliners. But, like, Roy Oswalt's in his prime right now. He's really good.
Yeah, this is.
I think everyone else realized that day. Oh, yeah, Roy Oswalt does this too.
Yeah, and this was him doing it on the national stage. Like, the world learned about how good Roy Oswalt was in this moment, and I was always kind of a Roy Oswalt fan, so I really liked. So I really liked when he was able to go out there and, like, show the world what he was made of, and basically shut down the allegations that Houston was not going to bounce back from Albert Pujols being a madman.
And to me, I consider that just as big a moment because, I mean, literally everyone's like, "This is playoff baseball. You don't win after that. Like, your soul just got ripped out. There's no chance." And after about the 3rd or 4th inning, it's like, oh, Oswald's on. They might not get this guy. And like to be able to respond like that and for it to be such a moment where it's like, oh, yeah, that's it. In St. Louis, where things like that don't just happen for a visiting team like that. That was to me that I know Oswalt went on to have a great career and he might have hit bigger highs in Philadelphia, but to me that's his defining. If you're like, what stands out to you the most about Roy Oswalt? It's that game. To be able to dominate that moment and save your team from a historic collapse. Because if they lose game 6, they sure as hell wouldn't have won game 7.
Yeah, no, they definitely would have been cooked if they needed to. If that series went any longer, so they definitely were able to come through and get that W. And what was very the 2005 MLB playoffs may not have been as filled with bangers as the past two, but still a very good series that ended that ended in tremendous fashion.
Also, that World Series probably has the most exciting sweep of all time because all 4 were close.
Yeah, that is true. That was
game 1, I think, was decided by 2. Game 2 had a walk-off. Game 3 went 14 innings. Game 4 was 1-0.
You're talking about in the World Series?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the World Series was still a banger even for a sweep. A very competitive World Series. 2006. Hate that we have to do this.
Well, it's my turn to be humiliated. So,
yeah. 2006. It's the NLCS. The Cardinals beating the Mets in 7 games. Everyone knows what happened at the end, but I don't think even just talking about what happened in the end does justice as to just how good this series was.
This to me, out of all the losses the Mets have had, or the heartbreaking, this year included 07, 08, this is the one that hurts me the most because I can truly say I never saw this coming. Like when they lost to the Braves in '99, like in my heart, it's like, well, the Braves have been here all the time. Like we just got here. When we lost to the Yankees, it's like, man, I wanted to win, but it's like the Yankees have just won 3 out of 4. Like this is what they do. When we lost to the Royals in 15, it was like, well, we had chances to win this and we didn't. And I was okay with last year. 22, like that team, but this one, it's like, there's not a doubt in my mind we're better, and we're going to do this, and we're going to go to the World Series, and whoever's there, we'll handle them too.
Yeah.
And we won game 1, 2-0, and the moment that changes this series forever and really alters fate is game 2. They have Chris Carpenter knocked out, the reigning Cy Young winner. They're up 6-4 in the 7th, and Guillermo Mota shakes off Paul LaDuca, throws a slider. Scott Spezio triples to tie the game. Ugh. And then in the 9th, So Taguchi beats Billy Wagner for a home run. They tack on, I can't remember if Taguchi's was a solo homer or not, but they get 3 in the 9th. And that was the first moment where you're like,
Taguchi's was a solo shot.
And in that moment, you're like, that wasn't supposed to happen. Like, we're going home. Like it's 2-0 going to St. Louis. We have this.
Yeah.
And then in game 3, Steve Traxel in his last start as a Met gives up a home run to Jeff Suppan. And the Mets actually welcome Traxel back from time to time. It's disgusting. Ugh. Game 4, Oliver Perez starts, and I literally watched the whole game like this because I knew right away Oliver Perez couldn't trick me.
Right.
They won 12-5. Game 5, shockingly, Tom Glavine comes up small in a postseason game. Chris Duncan, of all people, hits a home run, and we can't figure out Jeff Weaver. Amazingly. Couldn't be Jeff Weaver or Jeff Suppan when it really mattered. Game 6, John Maine shows up again. This is a John Maine stand account over here. Always will be. That guy had Saturn balls when it really mattered. Billy Wagner almost gives away the game in the 9th, hangs on for 4-2, and I'm sure I've mentioned it here on the show before, but the half inning after Indy Chavez makes the greatest catch in the history of baseball, they have the bases loaded with 1 out. It's like, oh, well, this is it. And I remember screaming after Endy makes that catch, oh my God, we're going to win the World Series. Because it's like, what are you supposed
This
to
is
do?
in
That
game
catch
7.
happens and you don't win? Like, that never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
But Jose Valentin grounded out, or I think popped out because nobody moved. And then Endy struck out, which Endy's exempt because he just did that. Jose Valentin, I forever got beef with for that at bat. And then at that point, we didn't know who Yadier Molina was. We didn't know he was going to have the career he did.
Mm-hmm.
So it really hurt at the time to be like, we got beat by that fucking guy. Not Pujols, not Roland, not
it felt like
Yadier
it probably
Molina?
felt just like add him to the list of like So Tagachi and like Connor Gillespie, like creative players that beat you.
Yep.
Like Yadier Molina probably felt like that before his Hall of Fame career ensued.
Not a doubt in my mind. And then, like, bottom of the ninth, it's like, oh, we got the bases loaded against the rookie closer. Like, oh, I've seen this movie. We're in there. And it's like, oh, Carlos Beltran, who's killed it all playoffs, always kills the Cardinals in the play. Oh, we're here, baby. It's just, I never saw any of it coming. And that's the one. It's like 15 breaks my heart because we were so close.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's different to me because of like things in my life that happened that year.
Right.
24,
Yeah, it's like
personal. 24 breaks my heart because it was out of nowhere and there was so much that went into it. But like, I know we lost to a better team. There is they could have the Doctor Strange billion alternate universes, and in not one in the year 2006 are the St. Louis Cardinals better than the New York Mets. And I'll never be convinced of this. And that's the one that I won't be over until we win one. Because like, that team was better. That was supposed to be it. It's the 20th anniversary of 86. We blitzed everybody all year. We had everything we needed. Even with Pedro and El Duque being hurt, it's like, well, we got Glavine. We got John Maine. We're all right.
Yeah, the Cardinals are
like, this was it.
83 win-ass team.
Yeah, that's it. It's like, if the Tigers had beaten us in the World
It
Series,
wouldn't be the
that would have
first.
sucked, but they were good.
Yeah.
To lose to an 83-win team that backdoored their way into the playoff, yeah. It's like, I still see that image of Adam Wainwright celebrating the World Series every year because it's like the rookie closer closed it, and like, it still physically makes me like, just, every time I see, and it'll be that way until that gets corrected.
All right. Well, I don't want to rub any more salt in the wound of that series, and what it did to you. So it was definitely a classic playoff series. But we'll go on to 2007. We have our first game 163 of the programming with the Rockies and the Padres.
Yeah, fortunately we had this here because there's not a lot to pick from in 2007 because the entire NL playoffs were sweeps. The World Series was a sweep. One of the ALDSs was a sweep.
Yeah, the only series that went the distance was Red Sox Indians.
Yeah, which, like, good comeback, but
yeah, I mean, maybe the most memorable. Series. I feel like maybe the most memorable like moment from this playoff series was probably Jabba getting eaten by the bugs.
Yeah. But this game 163, like, first off, the Rockies have this unbelievable run to even get here, and it's one of the bigger games the Rockies had ever played to that point.
Yeah, like
they're down 5-2 in the third inning. Adrian Gonzalez hits a grand slam, and it's like, well, maybe this is the end of the line. And then they eventually tie it up in the sixth. Or, actually, no, I have that wrong. It was 5-4 after 3. The Rockies go ahead in the sixth. Then the Padres get a run in the eighth to tie the game back up on a Brian Giles double. And then in the 13th, Scott Hairston homers, and it's like, oh man, the Rockies have this all-time run, and it's a 2-run homer. So it's like, man, they're gonna have to score twice off Trevor Hoffman. Man, this is a tough way for a memorable run to end. And then it's double, triple, intentional walk, and then the play at the plate with Holiday. So Trevor, your all-time saves leader, first ballot Hall of Fame closer, doesn't record an out. Or if you're Colorado, you get 3 straight hits, 3 straight extra base hits off the all-time saves leader. Just, I mean, and I know I get why Padres fans feel the way they do about the ending. Sure, I would too.
Yeah.
But just the drama that went on in this game, basically from the moment Adrian Gonzalez hits that grand slam in the 3rd inning. So we had 10 solid innings of just heart in mouth baseball. Like, all right, what's going to happen next? Is the next moment going to decide this thing? That's right. And especially for it's like that's probably still, I think if you ask any Rockies fan, like what's the thing they remember most from 2007? I bet you most of them say this over even winning the pennant. Like, not that they discount winning the pennant, but I think that's probably the moment where they're like, we actually made it all the way back in 2 weeks and we're going to the playoffs. Like at that moment, they probably thought, like, hell, we're here. Why can't we do it? And then they did.
Like to win that game, to come back from the deficit that they did, and to, ultimately win that and go on the run they did. I would agree with that. I would agree in a kind of underwhelming postseason that this would probably be, that this is worthy of taking the cake. Then 2008, we got the 2008 American League Championship Series between the Tampa Bay Rays and the Boston Red Sox. This was actually, this 2008 was actually like, this is going to make me sound crazy privileged, but this is the first time I remember watching a playoffs where the Yankees weren't involved.
Must be nice. This one has narrative and great games in it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, and an AL East rivalry. It's not the AL East rivalry, but it is one.
Well, I mean, and it ties into the fact that the Rays did this worst to first. It was the first time that the Rays had a good team.
Yeah, like ever.
And, a contention of will always be with Rays fans is, whenever Boston and New York come into town, it's a home crowd for them. So, it's like we're in this series defending our turf against them.
Yeah.
But game 1 was great. A 2-0 pitcher's duel between Dice K and James Shields. This was Dice K's best year, at least here in the majors. Game 2 goes to extras. David Price is pitching in relief, and not for the last time in this series. And the Rays win 9-8, I believe. Rocco Baldelli, I believe, had the BJ Upton had the game-winning hit here.
Fuck Rocco Baldelli. Sorry, I had to say that.
Oh wow, okay. I did not know we were on that kind of time here. All right.
Oh no, it's always fuck Rocco Baldelli in this house.
Is it strictly from like the Twins? I know the Twins have had issues with the Yankees with him as manager. Does it go back to this?
Nothing in particular. I just always remember him. Even when the Devil Rays were like bad, I just always remember him just being annoying and being a thorn in our side. And I think he has a very punchable face.
You know what? I got a list of those guys too. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Game 3 and 4, the Rays beat Boston by a combined 22-5, and that would, in terms of shock value moments in the postseason, that's up there because it's like, okay, the Rays are going to play the Red Sox. Like, okay, this is a nice story, but this is where it ends. The Red Sox are defending champs. They have this loaded roster. It's like, this is where you're supposed to learn your lesson.
This is where you learn how to get better for next year.
Yeah, it's like, okay, but you're not supposed to do this. And not only did they win 22-5, but they were knocking it all over the yard in Fenway Park. I want to say BJ Upton and Evan Longoria both had 5 homers in this series. And like 4 of them both had to be in Fenway Park. Like it was just like, get these guys out of it. It's like, oh man, they were right about all these prospects. Like Longoria is the realest of deals. BJ Upton's putting it together. Like, oh my God. And then a game 5 that really does not get talked about enough in terms of all-time games. The Rays were up 7-0 going to the bottom of the 7th. And it's like, man, they're really going to do this. They're going to win the AL pennant, and they're going to go to Boston and win all 3 games. And they're going to
do it on their turf.
What? 4 in the 7th, 3 in the 8th, and I believe J.D. Drew had the walk-off single in the 9th.
Yep.
But like by the time they got to the 9th, they're like, this is only ending one way.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, how do you get off the floor off that? And then Beckett beats Shields in game 6, and it's, oh no, man, I don't want it to end like this for the Rays. Like this would be brutal.
Yeah, I mean, I remember thinking at the time, like, oh man, like there was no way the Rays. I remember at that time I was like, God damn it, like the fucking Red Sox are about to repeat, and I'm gonna have to root for the Phillies.
Oh, I'm glad you never had to do that. Game 7 is an all-time intense game. The Rays take the lead in the 5th. Matt Garza pitches a gem, which is what he did a lot for them.
Matt Garza was a stud this series. He had a good career, but like he was a stud this series.
So, and he beats John Lester in this game too. But maybe the moment that everyone will always remember for this series, it's rookie David Price coming in on what I think might have been his 10th appearance as a major leaguer.
Yeah.
And getting the last 4 outs, including, I believe it was bases loaded, 1 out in the 8th, or 2 out in the 8th, because he threw an inning in the 3rd. And I remember in that moment with the bases loaded and Matt in there like, oh, he's going to the rookie. And I'm like, oh, no. It's like, you have this great bullpen. Like, you've got all these different guys.
What are you doing, man?
It's like, this is your number 1 pick. This is supposed to be your future ace.
You're going to
like hit him here. You might ruin his career. Why would you do this?
You're going to ruin his career before it started?
Yeah, I'm like, not that it was a talent issue. Like, everything I'd heard about Price was that he's that guy. But it's like, man, you don't put your rookie in this spot. Like, this is crazy. And then an inning later, it's like, oh, I guess he's built for this.
Yeah.
Jury's still out on that.
Yeah. Yeah, Jerry's
very retired, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he I mean, he was built for it then. That's all sure really matters. And then last for this episode, certainly not least, we are ending this half because this has gone on for quite a while. We're gonna put a stop to it here, and we're gonna do another episode where we do 2010 to 24. Last, certainly not least, we got in 2009 the Twins Tigers American League Central Division Championship Game 163.
One of the best individual baseball games I've ever watched from start to finish. Like that was one of those. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Looking at the box score now, but I remember it being a week. It was a weekday, and it was like, man, this could be the last game in the Metrodome, and like the Twins had this unbelievable run. The Tigers were dealing with Miggy's issues because he had the weekend from hell there. But it's like, man, this is still a really talented team, and it's like the Twins are good, but like I still think like the Tigers are supposed to win this. And then the Tigers get 3 in the top half of the 3rd. Minnesota gets 1. They get 1 in the 6th, 2 in the 7th. And then the Tigers tie it in the 8th. And from about the time the Twins tied the game in the 6th, from the time they got it to 3-2, it's like every single pitch felt crucial. Every at bat's like, is this going to swing it? And it just felt like everybody was making a play. Everybody had a moment. Like every inning had something where you're like, man, when this is over, we're going to look back at that. And then the Tigers take the lead in the 10th. And I know there's a moment, it's either in the 9th or in the extra innings, where the Tigers had the bases loaded, Brandon Inge was up, and it was one of those like, he's moving out of the way with the pitch coming inside, and you can see it graze his uniform. Like his uniform clearly moved, but like it didn't hit him, or it didn't hit his body, so to speak.
Right.
My friend Tyler is still irate about this 16 years later, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Like it didn't. If it went inside, like the trajectory of the ball, like the ball would have moved like in a completely different direction, and it would have been easy to call. But it's like his uniform comes out. It hits the uniform, but it just goes by him. Or like if the ball goes by him, catcher makes the catch. But the Tigers like argued that like no, that's a hit by pitch. Bring the run in.
Yeah,
they don't call it.
Yeah, and
But
there was no reviewing back then either.
and then the Twins tie it in the bottom of the 10th. Jim Leland, for some reason, has Fernando Rodney throw the last 3 innings of this game, which was one of the many postseason hits for Fernando Rodney in this, which is absolutely insane.
Party's over.
And then Alexi Castillo wins it in the 12th, and Carlos Gomez sprints home. But just, I know Tigers fans don't want to hear it, but like their role in this, like they played a damn good game. Like this was just, as someone with no dog in the fight, I'm like, man, I just hope this is a good 1-game 163 because we've had some good ones. It's like, man, I just hope this is fun. Boy, was that fun.
Yeah, and apparently this game was going to be played a day earlier, but because the Vikings were playing, they had to move it back a day.
And that was also, it was Green Bay against Minnesota, and it was Favre's first game against the Packers since he left. So you want to talk about like a couple of days for Minnesota there between the Twins keeping the season alive, Favre beats the Packers on Monday Night Football, and then one of the greatest games in Twins history happens to make sure that the Metrodome gets at least one more game. Pretty nuts.
Yeah, you want to talk about, all right, it's time for bed.
Yeah. Well, actually, that was a 4:00 game as I see it. So, but 4 hours and 37 minutes. That's another one that, yeah. If the Mets were ever involved, I mean, game 163s don't exist anymore, but 437, 12 innings. At the very least, I'm incapacitated. That was...
Yeah, you're gonna be hard pressed to come back from that.
I feel like I should default to you on this, however, because that's your year. Do you have a favorite series from that run? Is it the ALCS or is it the World Series?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's I think it's obviously I think for me it's obviously the World Series, just because you had so many. But I mean, I understand why for in a playoffs where objectively like most of these series were kind of underwhelming. But I mean, for me, it's the World Series. I mean, they fall behind, they get their asses kicked early, in game 1. And then it's like, oh, well, maybe the Phillies are just like this juggernaut. And then we come back, AJ Burnett always came through when in the early 2009 and like early 2010s, I noticed that when you really needed a win, AJ Burnett would always come through. And that's exactly what he did in game 2. When you needed,
it was so frustrating because like when you really needed him to be that guy, he was that guy.
Yeah, when you had your back against the wall, he was that guy. But if it was like, all right, we can clinch now, he was not necessarily that guy. But I mean, yeah, AJ Burnett with a vintage performance in that game too, to give us the to help us tie up the series and not be going back to Philly down 2-0. And then the Yankees have that Yankees with the big win on Halloween 8-5. You had the Alex Rodriguez hit a home run that game, so that was like him like really. That was where it felt like, all right, yeah, like this is like where Alex Rodriguez is like really like starting to like earn his pinstripes for all the shortcomings he had in years past. You had the Nick Swisher home run, Hideki Matsui, Andy Pettit. Andy Pettit pitched a pretty good game, and you had good, you
Johnny
had good
Damon double steal.
That was this game.
Oh wait, no.
I believe that was game 4. Yeah, that was in game 4. Yeah, and then we went 7-4 in game 4. 3 runs in the top of the 9th, and I believe that is when the Johnny Damon double steal did happen. And in that moment, it kind of like when Johnny Damon did the double steal, that was when it kind of felt like, all right, like we're gonna win this shit.
That's one of those like you punished your opponent for being asleep at the wheel in a critical moment. It's like,
yeah,
you think of all the things that have happened in the past, and you're like, that stuff always gets punished when teams aren't on top of every little detail. And my team was. Yeah, we're gonna do this.
Yeah, and then like even though AJ Burnett kind of shit his ass in game 5, you felt pretty good coming back home for game 6, where once again the Yankees the Yankees made themselves Pedro Martinez's daddy in that game. He did.
Double agent Pedro.
Yep, he did not make it. Yeah, no, that was a double agent game for sure. He was always a Met at heart.
That's right.
But he gets beat up through the first 4 innings. You had J Happ making a relief appearance in this game 6. Hideki Matsui, he had the home run. He also had I believe he also had a big double in that game too. This game really just solidifies Hideki Matsui as this World Series MVP and, as a Yankee legend was, I feel like it was really like he had a great series up until then, but that just was like the solidifier. So, I mean, for me, it was the World Series. The ALCS against the Angels definitely had some memorable moments too. But yeah, that World Series I think was just on another level.
It is funny to look at the box score for this series because obviously this was a very star-studded Yankee team. I mean, all the names that you mentioned, A-Rod's in there, Jeter, Johnny Damon, Matsui, Teixeira, Posada, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look and see some of the others, and it's like Alfredo Aceves was a Yankee.
Yeah,
Bill Koch's here. Damaso Marte.
Yeah, you had some obscure ones. Not too obscure, but you had Phil Hughes as well.
Jose Molina was a Yankee. I don't remember this. I just assumed Cervelli had been the backup catcher for like 12 years.
No, not yet. Not yet. Not at that point.
Eric Pinsky was a Yankee.
Yeah, that was
these are some remembering guys right here.
Yeah, that was like just slightly before his time.
Also, this was the beginning of, I believe this was Cliff Lee's first postseason. And I asked this because I know I've laid out who scares me as a Met all time. Is Cliff Lee your number one? Like, oh God, not him. No. I'll take my chance with anybody else, not him.
Oh man, that's a tough one. I feel like it's still probably like Randy Johnson or Curt Schilling, and you could even throw Josh Beckett in there.
That's fair.
Cliff Lee is definitely up there, but like because it was just like for us, it was just like that one time. Well, actually, I think we
2010.
Yeah, he was on Texas in 2010, and we couldn't hit him that time either. So it was really just those 2 times, but like I feel like the because we ended up winning the World Series and I don't know, the 2010 playoffs are, which we'll get to on the next one, but we're kind of forgettable as a whole. I feel like Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling are kind of higher on that, or Josh Beckett are all like higher on the list for me. But yeah, Cliff Lee, definitely a top 4, top 5 in that category.
I mean, I guess at least with Cliff Lee's case is that like, even though you didn't get him in that series, he was great and it still didn't matter. It's like
right.
Randy Johnson beat us, like Curt Schilling beat us. So it's like, yeah, they're good. And it ultimately mattered. It's like, yeah, I don't want to deal with Cliff Lee, but it's like, I know it's not the death of us if we don't get him.
Yeah. And it wasn't necessarily, it really wasn't necessarily the death of us when he shut us down. I mean, yeah, he did shut us down in that game 3, which was pretty pivotal game in that series. But I feel like the series was like still there to be won after it, and we just didn't do it.
Also, it pains me to say it because I hate ever saying a Philly's cool, but Cliff Lee doing that's some cold ass shit.
Yeah,
I can't say anything else.
Yeah, no, that was cold. But yeah, I think that'll wrap up our first 15 years of playoff series. Let us know if you if you agree or disagree. If there's another series that you liked, definitely leave a comment. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure, of course, you're subscribed to the YouTube channel if you're not already. What are you doing? Make sure you're subscribed to the Middle Initial Podcast's YouTube channel and all of their all of their socials and all of their platforms as well, where they stream their episodes. any final thoughts or final words before we sign off?
It's just it's fun going back and talking about this stuff because ultimately, when you're a kid, I think especially for us because we didn't really get to necessarily grow up in the time of
refreshed a lot of memories too, especially like with those game 163s that were as crazy as they were, they kind of get like a little forgotten over time.
And we didn't grow up in the era of MLB.TV. It's like extra innings just sort of became a thing in the 2000s. So mostly growing up, it was like you watched your team, and it's like you might see the Wednesday night game on ESPN or the Sunday night game and the Fox game on Saturday, but it's like the thing that really hooks you as a kid. You're like, sure, it's your team, obviously.
100%.
But everybody waits for October because it's like, we're going to see the best of the best and amazing stuff's going to happen. And it's like, this is what hooks you. This is why we're sitting here now at our ages talking about this stuff, because this was the thing that made us like, man, I need to be here all the time. Man, I can't wait for my team to have this moment. Like this is why we're here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is why we're here. And, we obviously hope to come back, hope to come back and have some, get back to that point in 2026 and have some more great memories to come. But in the meantime, while both of our teams are out of it and we're waiting, it's fun to, it's fun to take this trip down memory lane while current baseball history is, also in the process of being made. And congrats to the Seattle Mariners, really making both of us eat some crow, at least after one game.
Yeah, I figured it's like, if nothing else, like to have that kind of turnaround and going against a raucous home crowd like that, it's like, yeah, just on the emotion, like how much Friday night takes out of you.
Yeah,
like, it would only be natural to lose game one. Like I wouldn't blame them for that.
Yeah, no one would hold it against you. Yeah, especially with like having to travel all that way and everything. Like, yeah, when George Springer hit that home run, I was like, yeah, this isn't going to go well. But no, kudos.
Also, the Mariners do have Brian Wu available for this series.
They do, yeah.
They didn't deploy him here. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I guess he'll be coming out of the bullpen.
Well, yeah, I could see that. Yeah, if you're like, well, maybe he can't give us 90 pitches right now. He could give us 25.
Yeah, can you give us like one or two solid innings here and there? You'll
reasonable.
You'll definitely take that. But yeah, no, thank you all for tuning in, and we will on the next one we'll do the last 15 years from 2010 to 2024. Yours truly made the picks for those. We got to split this up into two because this episode's already way too long. But thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one. Deuces.
See you.